Dravidians and Etruscans. Are the Dravidians related to the Etruscans? Stijn Canal, an Etruscan and Dravidian published in the Journal of the Royal Asiatic Society, thought they were related. He found that there are many similarities or affinities between the Etruscans and Dravidians. The Etruscan language was formerly spoken in Italy. The Romans called the Etruscans Etrusi, Tussi in Greek, or they were called Tercinal or Tyrohinal in Umbrian, an Italian language. Their name can be found in the adjective Turkskum. The Etruscans' name for themselves was Ranzna or Razna. The Etruscans lived in Italy, in the region of modern Tuscany, in an area bordered by the Arno River on the north, the Tiber River on the southeast, and the Tyrrhenian Sea to the west. At one time, the Etruscans controlled most of an area extending south from Milan through Marzabota and Sarcina to the Adriatic Sea, north of Ancona, and to the southwest their rule extended as far as Capua, Naples, and Pompeii. The Etruscans are believed to have come from Asia Minor. They may be descendants of African and Dravidian people. The Etruscan civilization lasted from 800 to 300 BC. The art shows the original Etruscans were dark-skinned and had South Indian, Dravidian, and Sub-Saharan features. By 500 BC, we began to see Nordic-type people moving into Tuscany. The Etruscans had a high culture. They taught the Romans farming and cattle herding. They also taught some of the Indo-Europeans how to bury their dead. The affinity between Etruscans and Dravidian gods point to a close relationship between Etruscans and Dravidians. And this is basically by looking at the languages, and it supports the idea that Tamils once lived in Tuscany. The Romans obtained their religion and writing from the Etruscans. The Etruscans' writing was the basis of the Latin alphabet. The same alphabet was used by Lycius of Asia Minor. The Romans, after replacing the Etruscans, they adopted much of their culture, as long as the cultural traditions did not conflict with the patriarchal society of the Romans. There are parallel names for the Dravidian and Etruscans. For example, they share many names for gods. The Etruscan female deity, Ammon, parallels the Tamil mother goddess called Amma. Another Etruscan word for mother goddess was called Akka. The name Akka is analogous for the Dravidian word for mother goddess too. In Dravidian languages, Akka also means mother and lord. Finally, the Etruscans had a god called Ani. This is interesting because in many Dravidian languages, Ani means excellence and superiority. You find many other uses of Ani in the Etruscan language. In the Dravidian language, the words karu, irutu, agrees with the Etruscan word for writing, ziku. Stijn Canal and N. Bahovre have presented numerous parallels between Dravidian and Etruscan that show the two languages descended from a common ancestor. Their data shows that the Dravidians and Etruscans had the same vowels, identical verbs and suffixes, and a similarity of numerals and syncopation. Just as the Dravidians introduced cognominal sounds into Indo-Aryan, the Etruscans, according to Wartburg, did the same thing in Sardinia, Sicily, Apulia, and Calabria. So, and again, we can find how many of the Nordic invaders to the Mediterranean adopted words that the Dravidians at first introduced. This is why sometimes you'll find that many people who are doing research on European languages often are surprised to find that many English words can be interpreted by Dravidian words and Tamil words. This is because of the fact that the Dravidians formerly lived in Europe before the Indo-Europeans came into the area from Central Asia. The evidence suggests that Etruscan should be classed as one of the Proto-Dravidian languages because the similarities in grammar and lexicon illustrates a very close relationship between the two, a relationship that was first illuminated by Dr. Stijn Canal. written many books on Dravidian culture and civilization. For example, I deciphered the Indus Valley writing, and I found it was Tamil. I've also written on the ancient Dravidian or Tamil people who lived in Central Asia. And I've written also another book about the connections of the people of South India, Tamils, and other Dravidian people who formerly ruled in Europe. I hope you will buy one of my books, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.